What's going on, Agents for Life? Welcome to podcast 212. This is a very special episode, and I'll tell you why in a minute. I'll give you a hint, though. It has to do with the number 212. Maybe I just gave it away. But before I jump in, because I'm super excited to go over some of the training, some of the thoughts and things that I have, a couple of announcements. Number one, National Convention. Okay, so if you didn't see the email, National Convention has changed. It was in February, okay, and it was going to be at a mega church out in Raleigh, North Carolina. Okay, scrap all of that. Okay, Equus is kicking it up a notch. We're going to be doing it at a convention center. It'll be in, or actually in the convention center of a hotel in Florida. So different time, March 7th through 9th. Okay, it is no longer in February. Those tickets are gone. If you got tickets, that doesn't mean anything. They just canceled the event. So it is not free. It is very affordable. It's 3 days, and it's some of the best training you'll ever get. So I'm going to encourage everybody now to make the commitment to join us and be there. Get yourself there however you can. It's going to be out in Florida, I think in the Orlando area. I'm not sure, but you can get your tickets. I'll put the link in the show notes below. So if you haven't yet, reserve your tickets, okay? And then let's go write some business and earn airfare and hotel and get you there. You know what? In the early years, I should say, when I was at my first couple of conventions, I slept on the floor. I had a mattress that we borrowed. We brought snacks. I filled my suitcase full of snacks so I didn't eat out. And, I just made it work because I wanted to be there so bad. My hunger for and my thirst for knowledge and association, being around other agents, was so much bigger than my ego that I just didn't care. I just did whatever I could to make it. So I encourage you to do the same. You won't regret it. You're going to be around some of the top agents in the country, rubbing shoulders for 3 days. You're going to come back a much better agent with a lot more knowledge and clarity and commitment to your business and progress towards your goals. So that's my first announcement, is huge change in schedule, location on the convention. Please put that on your calendar and reach out if you have any questions at all. Okay, the second thing that I wanted to go over is this week I really focused on reviews. Now, if you haven't been in business for a year, you're not going to be able to do annual reviews with your clients. However, if you go back a few podcasts, you can see how I do reviews and some of my suggestions. I am redoing the review form now that I have a really good understanding of what needs to go on that. I'm going to be building out and doing a new form, but you're going to come across reviews from people that have coverage. You need to review what they have. So you got to learn them. You got to learn how to do a review. And if you've been in business more than a year, you need to be reviewing with your clients. Okay, I will tell you all of my business that I wrote this week is from reviews, because I just went crazy on my calendar, reaching out to all my clients, getting them back on and reconnecting with them. And there is so much business out there that I didn't know was just sitting on the table. So huge, huge, huge for any of you, well, all of you, but especially those that have a bunch of business on the books that you're not going back and touching those clients. You need to be doing that. Okay, let's get to my thoughts. So podcast 212. Right? If you've been in with Equus for more than a year, you'll remember last summer we had this big push for 212. Now, what is the significance of the number 212? Well, it has to do with water, because at 211, you have nothing but hot water. At 212, that's when water boils. And what does boiling water have to do with anything? So you got hot water, not boiling, but hot, 1 degree hotter, and all of a sudden it's boiling. Boiling water produces steam, which creates energy. And guess what? Guess what you can do with that steam and that energy? You can power a locomotive, a train. 1 degree. 1 degree difference makes all the difference. So how does that apply as life insurance agents? Well, great question. I am glad you asked. I consulted a couple of books, some of my favorites. These are classics. Number one is The Compound Effect from Darren Hardy. He was the editor of Success Magazine. I'm not sure what he's up to nowadays, but I love this book because inside he shows what happens. And if you look at that chart, I'm just talking to those that are checking out the YouTube version of this, but you'll see a chart of, activity going one direction and another direction, and also inactivity. And in the first like 20 months or 24 months, 2 years, they're almost the same, inactivity versus activity. In other words, the activity does not produce a lot of results until it really catches hold, and that compound effect starts kicking in. Okay. We all know the story. If I gave you a penny and it doubled for 30 days, what would it end up with? And, the first 20 days or something, it's like $100,000 or whatever. It doesn't turn out to much. And then the last 10 days, it goes whoop, and that curve goes through the roof because of compound interest. And that's how we illustrate compound interest, right? You're building on the previous. So IULs, whole life, they all grow in with, and I shouldn't say all of them, but they can grow with compound interest. So the bigger it gets, the faster it grows. Okay, it's the opposite of, or I guess contradiction to simple interest, which just grows at a flat rate, 10% every year. So in compound interest, which by the way, Einstein said is the eighth wonder of the world, that's the concept behind this book that Darren Hardy wrote, The Compound Effect, because the same thing happens with our habits. Okay, so you take one little habit and you work at it every day. Well, it's not going to change your life tomorrow. I mean, it's going to change your life next week. In fact, in a few months, according to Darren Hardy, you're not going to see much difference at all. But at some point, that line's going to go, vroom. You like that noise? I did that earlier, right? That's the noise where the line goes wacko and it just goes up and up and up and up. And that's where you see tremendous results, okay? That's where you see these people that have overnight success that took them 10 years to get there. It's because they worked at it over and over and over. And that's the compound effect. And that's the difference between 211 and 212. That's the difference between being pretty good, being kind of committed, being 99% committed to your craft as a life insurance agent, but not quite 100%. Okay. It's that 1% creates the steam, creates the energy, powers a locomotive, right? You are that friggin' locomotive. I'm telling you, that 1 degree of difference. So my question, and this comes out of this book right here, The One Thing, which is another one of my favorites. If I open this up in chapter 1, he asked this question, and you get this all through the book. I want to remind you, if you haven't read this, this is awesome. But if you have, friendly reminder, what is the one thing you can do this week such that by doing it, everything else will be easier or unnecessary? That's a heck of a question to ask yourself. You might be thinking, I have no idea what the answer is. Well, maybe you're kind of guessing at an answer. Maybe you're guessing at something, but your brain's going to go to work at something. There is something you can do better, something you can do different. Maybe it's just a commitment thing. Maybe it's showing up on the team calls. Maybe it's dialing. That's everybody's, one of our favorite things to do is dial, right? Maybe it's getting better on the phones. Maybe it's getting better on appointments. Maybe it's your follow through. Maybe it's wherever you're falling short. There is one little degree that you can change that if you stay with that over a sustained period of time, you're going to see a tremendous difference in your business down the road. That's if you stick to it. And I think this is one of the biggest problems in success is that everybody can start out, right? But finishers are few. Okay. Everybody can start out. Everybody can start a business. Everybody can make a few phone calls. And a lot of us can get discouraged and walk away. But the ones that are going to make it are the finishers, are the ones that don't quit, are the ones that improve those incremental changes that nobody sees for months and months at a time. But secretly, behind the scenes, quietly, they're improving their craft and they're getting better one small degree at a time. Let me challenge your thinking in something else. If your day today was duplicated for 365 days, what would your year look like? Pretty hard-hitting question, right? Did you cut corners? Did you give it 100%? Did you give it 75%? Did you skip some things? Did you break a cheat meal or break your diet for a meal? Or did you skip a workout? right? Suppose you took that and forecasted it Groundhog Day, right? Into the future. Every day is now the same. What would your year look like? What kind of growth would you have? Well, that's one day. If you can think like that today, if I sometimes think this thought too, if everybody did what I did, would this world be, what kind of a place would this world be? So when I'm getting out of my car and I'm walking up to the grocery store going in, there's a piece of trash on the ground. Well, nobody picks it up. Everybody walks by. That's why it's still there. You can tell it's been there for 3 months, right? Every car's driven over it. It's all run down. Well, I stop and pick it up. Why? Because if everybody did that, the parking lot would be immaculate, right? Now, me picking up one piece of trash doesn't make the parking lot immaculate, but because of Darren Hardy and that line of thinking, if I can take whatever I do and project it 365 days or to the rest of the world and say, I'm going to do my part, right? Today, I'm going to make today matter. I'm going to make the little things matter. And I'm going to keep doing that. Why? Because it's who I'm becoming. It's not something that I have to work at. It's something that I am just going to do because that's who I am. Okay. Success is the process of becoming. And it's not a huge transformation overnight. The rest of the world sees it that way. We see on social media, somebody gets on and says, 10 years ago, I was homeless. You've seen all these stories. And you know what? I am not belittling them in any way because those are fantastic stories. And I love happy endings and I love people who are overcoming odds, but you didn't see their struggle. I mean, they might tell you about it. You weren't there when they went through all the hard times. Right. And so when we go to success, when we start our journey and we want to go to success, we want that social media version of success. We see a before and after picture. And I want that tomorrow, right? Microwave society. We want everything immediate. Well, the real world and the real journey of success is it doesn't work that way. You saw that chart that I held up for the compound effect. The first 80% of that chart, those lines between no activity and activity working toward a goal, a new habit, almost stay the same for a long period of time. It doesn't change your life overnight. You got to be patient with things and you got to work it yourself and you got to become somebody different. You'll be paid based on who you become. Okay. In the end, that's how you'll be compensated in life with the type of person you become. If you want to be a millionaire, you need to become one before the dollars show up. Okay. So compound effect. I love that. And I want to challenge all of us to just remember what is some little thing that we can work on that if we fix and we keep it sustained, that our business is going to be completely different in 365 days. What is that going to look like for you? What is that one little thing? So let me wrap up with this. This is going to be a new thing that I'm going to start. Some of you have been asking for accountability, and I'm going to give it to you. So I have heard your comments and have been putting this to thought. I'm going to finish announcing it, but I'm just going to put the bug in because I'm still working through this. But I'm going to put on a Zoom calendar or a Zoom link on my calendar, a slot on my calendar for all of you for accountability. And we're going to do it on Fridays, probably end of day Friday, before you start your weekend festivities. I'm not trying to create one more week or one more meeting on your calendar, but I want to check in to help you. This isn't for me. This is for you. This is for you to show up and you have some accountability. Check in. Tell me how you did. Okay. Tell me what you're going to do next week. I'll take notes and I'll hold you accountable on those calls once a week. Now, of course, if you need anything during the week, I'm always available. But I want a specific schedule for accountability to help some of you that need that. And I'm going to build in some lead credit, some bonuses, and some incentives for you. For those of you that are serious enough to go accomplish your goals, you show up, you're going to get rewarded for that. So some cool stuff coming. I just wanted to plant that bug, and you're going to hear about it. So look for it. But let me wrap up with this. Guys, Life is too short to be messing around with this. If you've been in for too long, if you've been in for months and you're not getting anywhere, you know what? We need to make some micro adjustments. But number two, you got to be patient with yourself, because success doesn't happen overnight, right? We see agents that come and they get a couple of wins, they get lucky. You know what? That's not skill. That's not sustained success. That's luck. And they leave just as fast. But the real ones that stick it out, the ones that have been here 5, 10, 15 years, the Chris Tinsmans of the world, the Jackie Rhodes that have been at it for 2 decades, those are the ones that stuck through it thick and thin. And you're seeing them up there on their pedestal and how awesome they are and how great they are at dialing and all that. Well, they just stuck with it. And they got a little bit better and a little bit better and a little bit better. And probably a lot of people didn't notice at first because of that learning curve that Darren Hardy shared with us on the compound effect. That compound every week, they got a little better because they built on the knowledge, the experience, the confidence that they had the previous week. Just like in a life insurance policy, the compounding interest applies to your skill set, your talents, and your commitment. If you can go out and just get a little bit better, and you can answer that question, what one thing can I do such that it will make my business better? I don't remember the rest of the question. Such that by doing everything else would be easier, unnecessary. Guys, that's the little stuff. That's the stuff that makes the difference. That's the 1 degree between 211 and 212. Thanks for listening. I'll talk to you next week.